In understanding different people's work styles, you're not only meeting them halfway, but you're understanding your needs as well. Now, when it comes down to disc work styles, you have D, dominance or fast paced, results orientated mover. You have influence. That's our social connection type of person. You have S, supportive. That's the steady, methodical background worker that's making sure to fill the gaps. And then you have C, compliance. That's our data and detail type of work style. But underneath that, there's some driving forces going on. So say if you have someone that you work with that is a D and they're a fast mover, but they make a different decision than you. Or say you're an S, a supportive, and you're doing things to fill the gaps, making sure that you have quality processes that are repeatable. And the same work style made a different decision from you. It's because there's some driving forces, some motivators behind the decision that they made. So let's go through the 6 driving forces that you're going to be seeing underneath these disc styles that are getting people to move forward, to take the steps, that are motivated to make the decision. In your DISC report under driving forces, you're going to see 6 categories. In each category, they have a spectrum with 2 sides. And we're going to go through these and break down what is the internal motivation driving the decision. Now, within your graphs, you're going to see some numbers, and you're going to see a ranking in the little circle number. The 1, 2, and 3 is your strongest internal motivators, the strongest driving forces of your decision making. These are the areas that you should focus on because when you feed that need, work becomes enjoyable. It feeds the energy. Let's start with the first one, which is knowledge. Knowledge is how you discover things. How do you search for information? And at each side of this spectrum is instinctive or intellectual. And there's no right or wrong with any of these motivators. It's more of an understanding of what drives you forward, what feels good and aligned to make a decision. So in this case, instinctive means you base your next move, your decision on experience. What has been? What have you went through before and it worked well? Versus intellectual, which means you want to learn, you want to check a process, you want to dig into things a little further before making a decision. Now, as you can see in this graph, it's in the middle, which means it's situational. If it was more to the left or to the right, it would be more instinctual, experience-based, or more intellectual. It wants to research, dig into data and details a little more. If it's in the middle, it means it's situational. So depending on your confidence level, your skill set, and your knowledge around it, it could sway instinctual or intellectual either way. And that's the case in this graph. You can also use this when you are hiring or internally moving people around in your teams, because if someone needs to dig into data and details, look at a process, look at an SOP, a standard operating procedure, you're going to want a more intellectually driven decision maker in that type of role versus instinctual, which means they're basing it on previous experience, but that experience maybe no longer works in your process anymore. So looking at internal motivators when you place people will help for better job matching. The next category we're going to go into is surrounding. And this is how you add balance. This is how you kind of protect your environment, your surrounding, right? And there's an objective side, and then there's a harmonious side. And the harmonious side is more subjective. So that means depending on my perception and my interpretation is how I move next. So when you see people who really love objective decisions, they're going to be more on this left side of the graph versus the right side, which is harmonious, is going to be more subjective. They lean more into that for their decision making. There's some internal team conflict when you make decisions when you have opposite sides here. So understanding the internal motivators, the decision-making process of your team members on this spectrum is going to help you meet both team member styles and reduce that conflict. Now, the next one is power. And power is how do you achieve position? How do you influence others? And this spectrum has collaborative or it has commanding, which means collaborative is how do you support one another so that you're successful. This is how do you complete the task as a team. And commanding is going to be more of the status. It might be more of the recognition. And they also might be even motivated by titles. by the words that you're saying. So I'll see that's a lot in HR, where there's people that just do the thing, do the function of their team. And regardless of the status, they'll just help out where it's needed. And then I'll have people who stay in their role a little bit more, and that title matters. And again, there's no right or wrong here. It just depends, how is someone motivated. So for example, if someone is taking on more functions within their role and you didn't change their title, it might irk them the wrong way. Or you might have someone that the title doesn't matter, but the pay matters. So again, leaning into these driving forces will help enhance what motivates each of your team members. Now, the next one is utility. Utility is ROI. What is the return on investment? And it's either going to be selfless, like for the sake of completion. I just want to get this off the to-do list. Let's get this done. Let's get to the end goal. Or it's going to be resourceful, which means, what is the impact of this? Are we doing this because it's a practical and we're going to get a practical result? Are we doing this because we're going to maximize the output, the value? What is the ROI on this? So utility means I'm going to do this just to get it done, or I'm going to do this because of the impact, because of the results, because of the maximal value that it brings. So again, you can see where you can place certain people in projects and certain functions in which they're going to be motivated a little bit differently. You're going to have your just get it done people, and then you're going to have your maximize output type of people. Neither one is wrong. It's just align it to the right functions and projects within your team. The next one is others. And in this category, it's how are you motivated in making decisions that impacts others. So are you reducing the hate and conflict across the team? How do you do that? There's people that will do it intentionally for a very specific purpose. And then there's people that do it altruistically, which means they're doing it to be helpful. They don't necessarily need a purpose or specific objective to do it. They're just doing it to be helpful. And again, you can see the pros and cons of each side. Intentionally means not only the specific purpose is being achieved, but you are getting the best value out of your time. They're a little less probably people pleasing. They have good boundaries maybe. And the other side, the altruistic, is helpful means maybe there's less barriers for them jumping in and helping the team, but also they might be burning out. They don't have great boundaries. They might be doing all the things except for their specific priorities that they should be getting done. So this is a really important kind of driving force to understand within your team members, so you can help them, guide them, coach them when they are feeling overwhelmed, because they need to satisfy intentional, what is the specific purpose of how I'm helping the team, the project, these other people, or are you being altruistic? You're being too helpful in which you aren't even helping yourself, and now you're causing your own problems. That is the others driving force. Now, the sixth driving force that I want to go through, what you're going to see more visually than these other ones, is mythologies. And this is, what is your system of living? What is your system of working? And you're going to have a receptive side, and that means they're more open to new ideas, new methods, trying new things. Maybe they fluctuate between systems that they use, and structured, which means they're more traditional. They want repeatable, stable type of processes. They want those proven methods. So I'll see this more visually in how people work, in how they lay out projects, even just visually on their desk, what I see. And you will see these two sides. So you can see already where natural conflict comes in when decisions are made, because someone might want to try new things. It's not proven out yet, or too much change. And then you have the other one that wants more of the structure. They want the proven methodology and traditional approach. So when we're talking about conflict in teams or working on communication, these driving forces, these internal motivators come into play, because it's kind of the method behind the madness of how people make decisions, what makes them feel comfortable. And the more natural you can meet people halfway, the more understanding you have of why behind their choices feeds a pattern of energy versus draining it.